Going live. An exciting day to go live. I'm live. Hello, everybody. I don't know if I'm talking to anyone in the future because I don't know if I will be keeping this live stream up after the fact. I've kind of been less into doing that lately, but we'll see. We're obviously talking about the most exciting thing on planet Earth today, so it's probably worth it for me to keep it up. For other folks to kind of catch up with it after the fact, let me see if the stream's doing okay, as I usually do, and it sure is. And then I will check and see if anyone's popping in the chat, which I think is happening. I don't like how the camera is set up here. 1 second. It's a little bit better, I think. So I do know some folks. Yes, there are folks popping in. Hello, everybody. Exciting day. Oh my God, we got some fun stuff to talk about. Give me uno momento while I tweet out the stream so we can get more people in here. Let's do that. I was like, all week, I was like, I need to get on and do a live stream clearly and talk about all this stuff. Okay. Boom. Okay. Live stream is tweeted. Thank y'all for the patience. I think I'll leave that up that way. Okay. All right. It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a very, very big one. Let me see who is popping in the chat. Deshaun Bush, hello. I don't know if I've seen you in here, or maybe I saw you in the last stream, actually. Either way, glad you're here. Avedon Smith, my main dude, what is happening? Thanks for popping in the stream, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, you know what's good? I mean, Metroid lives. So that's good, which makes me good. Christopher P is here. WileyBot2004, hello. Metroid Prime, of course, making an appearance in the chat. Astral is off the chain, hello. Diego Estrada, what's happening, my man? B-Man's World? What happened to my arm, shoulder? Just kidding. Okay, I was like, yeah, I hope I don't have to go into too much describing the whole thing to everybody. Everyone, you guys know what happened. It's, it happens. I'm healing. It's all good. It's all good. Luis Henrique Ramos. Hey, man, do you think we'll have a demo to play? Good question. I think it's possible. I would say it's hard to say for sure. Oh, sorry. I hate to do this. I'm getting a quick text from my fiance who's running an errand and checking something. And I'd hate to do that. Normally, I'm like, don't text on stream. Bad live streamer. But she needed my advice on something. Okay. The demo. Yeah, I would say it's possible. It's obviously hard to say now. But, Nintendo's done demos before. They did one for Mario Tennis. They did one for Hyrule Warriors. Is there another one I'm forgetting? Was there a Pokemon game that got a demo? So I could see them doing it, but I don't think it's a guarantee either. Tough to say. Tough to say on that one. Hopefully. Petros Pashalis, hello. Ice Sonic, what's happening? Christopher P said, it must be cool to be Rob. Thanks. Skyward Sword HD on my birthday, and now a new Metroid game. I don't see how you contain yourself. It's hard. It's hard to contain myself, but you're definitely right. I'm feeling pretty happy as far as gaming stuff goes, and it's done a lot so far this year to kind of help, counterbalance some of the, obviously, the health problems, having broken my clavicle and going through that whole stupid thing. 2 surgeries in the first half of the year. It's nice to get some other exciting, fun stuff. I mean, the Metroid thing, it's the only thing I'm thinking about, you guys. Literally, I wake up every day and I'm like, Metroid, it's a real thing again. And it's just such a great feeling, man. We've been waiting so long for this. It's insane. WileyBot says, my Wii U lives another day without Prime Trilogy on Switch. Meaning, what? You're not playing it on your... Oh, I see what you mean. Because there's no Trilogy on Switch, you're saying you still can play your Wii U. Okay, I follow. So somebody whose name I can't pronounce asked if I hurt my arm and if I'm okay. Yes, I'm okay. I broke my clavicle back in March, and I had to get an initial surgery to put a plate in. And just this past week, I had a surgery to take the plate out. So I'm healing and I'm on the mend. Jay, what's happening, dude? Good to see you. We got to do a podcast pretty soon, Jay. Major Blazer, what's happening? Happy to announce You got the special edition for Metroid Dread pre-order. Nice. Congratulations. That is a hard thing to find right now. For sure, for sure. Hoping for a demo. Yeah, hopefully it happens. B-Man, wait. Oh, B-Man says, being a big fan of Metroid, have I gotten into the Castlevania series? Absolutely. I love Castlevania. Remember, guys, I'm an older gamer, so I grew up on the NES. So I never played Castlevania 3 much, but Castlevanias 1 and 2, I played a bunch as a kid. I even like Simon's Quest. Everyone craps on Simon's Quest, and I can tell you they're wrong. That is a good game. The music is incredible. So yeah, huge fan of Castlevania. And Bloodstained. I own Bloodstained. It was a fun game. Crom says, I think Nintendo will eventually bring, a legendary collection. Oh, all 2D Metroid games. Maybe. I mean, boy, I really do think there's a chance. The fact that they're making a new Metroid game, clearly acknowledging and supporting the franchise again, because they're making 2 games. We're also, blown away by Dread and focused on it, which we should be, that we almost can forget that Metroid Prime 4 is still floating around in the background, also being developed for the future. So they're making 2 Metroid games right now, showing us that they care about the franchise. And so at what point would they decide to further support it by finally bringing other previous Metroid games to the Switch? The Prime trilogy to me is a guarantee. That's going to happen. But as far as games that relate more directly to Dread, you talk about the 2D games. I mean, I think that either they're going to add those to like the online service, similar to how Metroid and Super Metroid are there, or maybe they release like a physical collection of those games. I've long said that it could make sense for them to do an HD port of Other M. And I know that would be divisive, and a lot of people hate that game, which is fine. And so maybe it's not a smart choice. But I weirdly don't think it's impossible. And Other M is a game that has more potential connection and influence on Metroid Dread than any of the Prime games do. So I think there's a possibility we see them start to release some of those games. Samus Returns is a no-brainer. I don't know why they didn't announce Samus Returns at the same time they announced Dread. They were like Metroid 5 Dread is coming out in October, but in July or in August, you're going to be able to play Samus Returns as we port the game in HD over to the Nintendo Switch as well to kind of prime you for that game. Even though the stories, there's a huge gap in time between Samus Returns and Metroid Dread, it is the most recently released game, and it is Mercury Steam's last game, their last Metroid game. So as far as the look, the tone, and the gameplay feel, there's going to be a lot of connectivity just from that stuff between Samus Returns and Metroid Dread. And honestly, we talked about this on the podcast with Joey and Dave. There probably will be story connection because Samus Returns added a bunch of Chozo lore and kind of connectivity there, and that's obviously going to play an impact in Dread. So really, there would be a story connectivity between the two. How, Nintendo, are you not at bare minimum bringing Samus Returns over, let alone the other prior Metroid games? It just makes way too much sense to connect everything to Dread, to get people more primed and pumped for the game. There's nothing but win there for them to do it. And so I guess my hope is maybe in the next month we see them announce that they are doing something like that. They're bringing over other Metroid games before Dread. But it's Nintendo. We love them, but sometimes they drop the ball when it seems really obvious. And maybe this is something that they're going to mess up and they're going to drop the ball on that. So we shall see. We shall. Let me scroll up because now there's more people popping in, more questions showing up about that sweet Metroid. Oh wow, I'm way farther behind. Hold up here. Oh, legendary collection. How many copies do I think it will sell? My current target is 3 million is kind of like the floor for what I think it will sell. 3 million on the low end, which if that happens, would make it the best-selling Metroid game, which is crazy to think about, but that's just the fact about it. It's never been the hugest seller, and that's okay. But I think that if Metroid Dread can get 3 million, that'd be a huge win, huge success. Nintendo would see it as a success. I would say that the top is probably like 5 or 6. I would love to see this be a 10 plus million seller and just be like, just totally blow the doors open for Metroid. And while anything is always possible, especially on the Switch, I don't really see it selling that much. Prime 4 might have a better chance of that down the road. Dread is probably in the 3 to 5 million, I think. And again, that is a massive win. If that happens, huge win for the franchise, huge success for the game. Nintendo will be like, yeah, people care about Metroid. Let's keep this train rolling, which it sounds like they already plan on doing anyway. So that's kind of where I'm at for sales. I'm curious what you guys think. You guys can tell me in the chat kind of where your numbers line up as far as what you think it might sell. Yes, I was able to grab a special edition STVN. Steven? Yeah, sorry if you can't find it. It's really hard. Oh, you said you got one from Amazon Japan. Very cool. What's up, Spilled Paints? Let me just kind of scroll down a little. I got to catch up to more of the bottom of the chat here. Sorry if I'm missing your questions. Malik, I see you trying to send me down a Star Wars rabbit hole, and as much as I want to bite, I'm not going to take that bait. Today, I'm going to focus more on Metroid, and Nintendo stuff. We can talk about like Zelda a little bit too. So, let me see. Ralph said, finally catching a live chat. Cool. Nice. Good to have you here. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Datatron, we do need the Prime Trilogy. Nick says, at least you have both your legs. No surgery for me. Well, that's true. I would never be able to drum again if that happened, which would not be okay. You think Mario Golf will have a demo before Metroid Dread demo, sadly? I agree. I think both are possible. But if I was going to put money on one, well, wait a minute, though. Mario Golf is like in a week. When is that game? Is that July? When the hell is Mario Golf, y'all? I'm looking it up on my phone. I thought it was. Yeah, that's in a couple days. It's way too late for a demo, I feel. I thought so. Wow, dude, Mario Golf on the 25th on Friday. Hell yeah. I can't wait for that. So yeah, but I still think a Metroid demo is possible. Free download code for Metroid Fusion when you purchase Dread. That would be kind of cool. I could see them. Well, I couldn't see them doing that, but it would be cool if they did. That's what I will say. What's up, Crypto Man? Good to see you here. Nick says, never got to play Samus Returns because your 3DS broke. That sucks. And that's one of many examples of why that game should exist on the Switch. Nintendo. It's a no-brainer. It's guaranteed money. It's not even like Nintendo's going to lose anything. They would totally make their money back on that and then some, right? I mean, am I crazy? Do you guys not feel that Samus Returns would sell pretty well on the Switch? I would think if they did enough to it, like maybe they updated the visuals to enough of a degree, and whatever price they would sell it at, 20, 30, 40 bucks, whatever, like I think it could sell over 1 million units or over 1 million downloads if it was a digital only release. I mean, I totally think Samus Returns could do that. So it's up to Nintendo, man. So the Metroid guy says, I hope. Whoa, hold up. Oh, I just got a super chat. So that screwed up my thing. Okay, I'm going to get to the super chat in a sec. I want to finish the question I was reading, though, so I don't get distracted. Now I have to find it again. Excuse me. Here it is. Metroid guy says, I hope the Chozo in Dread makes a reference to Talon 4 since he looks very similar to the Chozo in the Prime games. Good question. Here's the thing. I think, and this is, I was asking for this for Prime 4 for months and months and months, even before Dread was revealed this week. I think Nintendo is about to start unloading Chozo goodness on us within the Metroid games and in the story. Obviously starting with Dread. And technically you could even say it started with Samus Returns because that was a remake of 2 and they added a ton of Chozo stuff into that game and the memories at the end and awesome, awesome things, including adding the X-Parasite 2 into the very end as well. And now we see the Chozo playing a role in Dread. And so I think we're going to start getting a lot of Chozo stuff, which is great. I've been wanting the mystery of the Chozo to start getting unraveled in Metroid games for a while. And you talk about if the Chozo in Dread makes a reference to Town 4, but you have to remember that okay, so you talk about how it looks like the Chozo in Metroid Prime, and that's true, but like there's different it's like each different game that has shown us Chozo have been for different consoles using different graphic or art styles and also with different technical capabilities. So as graphics have improved or as art styles have changed between Game Boy DS, GameCube, Wii, now Switch, it's like I think we're seeing the same Chozo races, but they've just looked slightly different because each game has had a different graphic and art style. So I don't know if necessarily the fact that the Dread Chozo looks similar to the Prime Chozo means that those are specifically connected, other than the fact that it's just the graphic styles are maybe just a little bit more similar. This is a long way to say I think it's just all one Chozo race and they all probably look the same. And so, and the Chozo are not like from Talon 4. They just had a huge presence on Talon 4. But what the Metroid games has shown us since the first Prime game is that the Chozo technology and architecture and influence and their technology that they're so known for is seen throughout the whole galaxy. It shows up all over the place. I mean, since Metroid Prime came out, I think the only game that doesn't feature anything Chozo is probably Other M that's released. And that includes the remake of Metroid, the remake of Metroid 2, Primes 2 and 3, now Metroid Dread, Samus Returns. Like, the Other M is the only one that doesn't really touch on or reference the Chozo in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah. Anyway, okay, let me get to the super chat. Good question. The African Triforce, $10. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate you for that. Says, do I think Metroid Dread and Prime... do I think after Metroid Dread and Prime 4, Nintendo might retire Samus? You say this because unlike most Nintendo characters, Samus actually ages with time. Eventually, she will get old. Well, so there's a couple things going on there. I don't think that they will. Part of it is because I just think it's one of Nintendo's franchises, so I don't think they want to necessarily retire Samus. The other is, if you watch the development history kind of documentary that Sakamoto did about Metroid Dread, he said that, and I think they said this on the Treehouse, like Metroid Dread wraps up this story, which is really the 5-story arc of Metroids 1 through 5. The other games kind of take place, in between some of those games. And this is going to wrap up the story, but they also very much confirmed they've already got ideas and are preparing the next Metroid game, right? Which would obviously not be Prime 4. It's whatever they're going to do after that. So they're clearly continuing the story and the universe and the franchise. Could they do it without Samus? I mean, yes, they could. Like, they could do whatever they want, but I don't think they will. And I think they know that no one wants that. We just want Samus in all of our Metroid games. And so I think that those quotes tell us they're continuing Metroid and they will continue with Samus. The other thing is, you mentioned that she will get old. And like, yeah, that's true, because she's like a human woman. She's a human person. And so she gets old. Her story started with her as a little girl. When her parents were killed by space pirates, she was raised by the Chozo. And she's now older. She's an adult. However, what they could write into the story, and this is up to Nintendo to do this. They haven't done this yet. What they could do, because I believe that as she was raised by Chozo, I believe that like they put some of like their power or science and technology or something into her when she was a little girl. Almost like a blood transfusion or something, or like an energy exchange. They did something, I believe, is what's kind of canon. And so part of the reason Samus is so dope is because she's also got like Chozo technology and power coursing within her. So if Nintendo wanted to dive deeper into that and kind of solidify that stuff, they could write a future story where we just learn that Samus ages slower. Maybe she's got like a Wolverine kind of thing going, where it takes her like hundreds of years to become an old woman as opposed to, 80, something like that. That's just a thought. I mean, I'm just spitballing stuff at this point, but so this is all a very long way to say I don't think they're going to retire Samus. So, oh snap! Another super chat from Nintendo Talk. Daniel, you've donated a couple times, I think. Thank you. 17 Krona, I think it is. Have I considered doing a Let's Play of Metroid? Kind of. Oh, Jason donated me $5. Thank you, bro. Make Samus have a kid to train, pass on the legacy. I guess they could potentially do that, Jason. I feel so bad, dude. You don't have to. I could have you could have texted with me with that. I know you texted me yesterday too. Anyway, Daniel said, have I considered a Let's Play? Well, way back in the early years of the channel, like 2014, 2015 stuff, I did do a couple of Let's Plays of Metroid Fusion, maybe Zero Mission. I did Metroid 2 and I did Metroid Other M, just a couple of episodes. And this is old school. Like, it's really lower production quality. I hadn't found my voice on YouTube yet, really. Have I considered doing it now? Here's the reason: no. Part of the reason is it's just too much work. It's just I'm a very busy person. I only do YouTube on the side for fun. So I don't really have the time to do it. It would dominate all of my free time and all of my gaming time. The other reason no is because I don't usually love to share my game time with the internet. Like, when I game, I really kind of like doing it just for me. But I might change my mind on that. For something like a Metroid, it might be fun to do, play Metroid Prime, or Super Metroid or something, either on a stream or as pre-recorded Let's Plays, which is how I used to do it. Maybe, but I don't know. But thanks for the donation. And thank you also, Jason, my dude. Oh, Chris, live stream of Metroid game on YouTube. Do it. Man, you're trying to turn me into a live streamer. I'm not as good at it as you are, though, dude. You're the live stream king, my man. Tinnitus says, hey, do you think they don't re-release Metroid 3DS on Switch because they don't want to take attention away from the one Switch Metroid game to get everyone exactly this gameplay story? I mean, probably not. I don't think so. I feel like Nintendo normally likes the idea of re-releasing stuff to get people excited. I mean, if you think about it, they've basically already confirmed that the reason they're re-releasing Skyward Sword is because it has major influence on what's happening with Breath of the Wild 2, I mean, they've basically already said that twice. And we know that that's true, especially with the new trailer for Breath of the Wild 2. So I think that Nintendo, if they were thinking about it or felt that they could make their money back, they would do it. And I still think they might. We just have to see. We have to see. Amadeus Zeno. I was trying to make that like French. Amadeus Zeno. You think future Metroid games will have either the X Parasite or a new threat? Not sure which way the Prime series will go, though. Yeah, I do think that when Sakamoto talks about Metroid Dread is going to wrap up this current story, I think that ending the X Parasite is probably a huge part of what he means. So I think that by the end of Metroid Dread, the X Parasite will be officially just eradicated. Dunzo for good. It's gone. It's done. It's out of the galaxy. We're never going to see it again. So I do think that's the case. The Prime series, I think Prime 4 is probably going to wrap up and conclude that story by officially wiping out Phazon. We thought we did that by eliminating Phase in the first 3 games. Clearly, that's not the case, because if there's a Prime 4, I assume Phazon is going to play a part in that. And so maybe they finally eliminate all of the Phazon in the universe, which will be something that will have happened way before Metroid Dread takes place. So Metroid Prime games happen, Phazon is introduced, creates a problem, and then eventually Samus defeats and eliminates Phase. Several years later, she runs into the whole X Parasite situation. Oh, I guess it'd be several years later. She runs into the X Parasite situation with Metroid Dread. She eliminates the X Parasite, which means she would have 2 KOs on her belt, Phazon and the X Parasite, if it all plays out this way. And then we can move forward after Dread, after Prime 4, into another new era of Metroid. And they're probably going to start a whole brand new kind of story and lineage. And they introduce a whole new threat, kind of like you're saying, that takes the place of Phazon and the Space Pirates or the X Parasite and all that stuff. But Metroids have to always be present, right? We can't suddenly have a game where there are no Metroids. So the new story does have to include Metroids in some way, shape, or form. And they could even be friendly. The Chozo created them to be friendly and to combat the X-Parasite. And that's why when you see in Super Metroid, and Metroid 2, the baby, Other M as well, like the Metroid that attaches herself to Samus and saves Samus from Mother Brain, that really is like the essence of why Metroids were created. They weren't created to be evil. The space pirates turned them evil. Or we also kind of learned potentially an evil Chozo scientist turned them evil and weaponized Metroids. So Metroids could play a part in the future either as enemies or as friendlies or as both. So there's a lot of ways. I'm actually getting really excited thinking about the different ways they could go with it. I got another super chat. I got 2 more super chats. Holy smokes, guys. Okay. Kieran Buckley, thank you for £5. Says, do you think the Chozo in the trailer will be the main villain in Dread, or a memory when Chozos were alive on the planet Samus is exploring? It could be either. It could also be just a completely new friendly Chozo. So it could be a Chozo that's still alive. And if it's a currently living Chozo, it could be either friendly or evil, potentially relating to Samus Returns. And I'm going to make a video about that next week. Or it could be very much a flashback or like a memory, a video log or something, like you say. When I did the podcast with Joey and Dave the other day, hopefully you guys watched that podcast, by the way. Joey is the one who pointed out to me, I had not noticed this, that the Chozo in the trailer apparently is talking. So that was interesting information to me. I had not caught that. So maybe it's sending a transmission or talking to someone else. Very excited to see what happens with the Chozo in this game. I'm getting chills. I'm getting literal like nerd tingles when I think about playing this game and finally like diving into the Chozo, man. Let's do it, Nintendo. I want to know what's going on with that. So yeah, my mind just starts to go crazy with different ideas. This is why I'm going to end up making so many frickin' Metroid videos. You guys are going to get overwhelmed talking about this stuff. And SJ Sharky 777 sent $4.99. Thank you for the super chat. Do I think they will release Metroid Zero and Fusion on the eShop before Metroid Dread? Yeah, this has already come up a couple times. All I can say is, yes, I absolutely think it's possible. I think it's even very likely, but it's not a guarantee. I was saying a couple minutes ago, Nintendo, for as much as we love them, sometimes they're a little bit dense with things that seem obvious. And I think we all agree it's obvious that Nintendo should bring Metroid games like Fusion, like Samus Returns to the Switch in some way, shape, or form, however they do it. Yo, what's up, Sandstorm? I didn't see you there. And then there's another. I missed another super chat. I missed 2 more. Okay, I'll get to those guys. But yeah, sometimes Nintendo just doesn't get it, and they drop the ball in that respect. But I would like to believe that there's a great chance we see those happen. I think Samus Returns is probably the most likely, followed by Metroid Fusion. So hopefully that happens. Okay, and so Wyatt, you sent $5. I didn't want to skip your super chat. As soon as she dropped down in those first few seconds, we all felt, wow. It's true. It's true. And like for me, I can't stress this enough, how much I didn't really believe it. I was like, this has to be a trick, because I love Nintendo, but I didn't think they would be that awesome to do what they did. They did four perfect things. One, they chose to make another 2D Metroid game. So that was the first choice. The second choice, it's Metroid 5. It's the continuation of the story. Finally, we're going to see what happens in Samus's journey after Metroid Fusion, after 19 years. 3, the biggest, is that it's Metroid Dread. They revived the long dead and rumored game from the Game Boy DS days of the mid-2000s. And then 4, the game is releasing in 4 months this year. So those things. And so you talk about when she first dropped down, when that trailer started on the Treehouse, or on the Nintendo Direct, and I was like, I can't possibly be looking at a new Samus in a new Metroid game. Didn't believe it. I was like, nope, I'm hallucinating. Clearly, I have taken drugs I did not realize. and I'm seeing something that is not real. That's what I thought. But obviously that's not the case. It was a real game, real trailer, tons of gameplay. You got 2 Treehouse, just absolutely the greatest. So, Adam Hallman, excuse me, sent $2.99. Thank you for the super chat. Hey Rob, I dream of 30 mother brain boss fight. Fighting 30 mother brains at one time. That would be a complete nightmare. That's not a dream. That's a nightmare to me. So I hope that you survived. Sounds horrendously horrendous. Okay, let me scroll. Did I miss anything else? I did. Okay. Copy thief. Ooh, what is ISK? I'm going to look this up. This is hard for me, so bear with me, guys. I don't know what that currency is. I don't know if I could guess. Icelandic krona. So there's a couple different kinds of krona I've learned from doing these live streams. Thank you for 750 krona. I appreciate you. Said, hey, did you see that the first mention of Metroid Dread was in Game Informer number 146 in June 2005? No, I did not know that. When I first found out about Dread, keeping in mind this was a different time of the internet and gaming news in the mid 2000s, I'm mostly sure it was an IGN article, either in 2007 or maybe 2006. Because at that time, that's the only place anyone really got gaming news, okay? There was no Twitter. There was no, I mean, Facebook existed, but it wasn't the same. YouTube was like a nothing burger in 2007. It started in 2006. It wasn't a place to get game news. There weren't people like me and Twitter feeds to give people constant every minute updates all over the place. And so at that time, it was like IGN or GameSpot were like the only places you could really go to find out stuff. We didn't have smartphones. We didn't have information in our pockets 24/7. And so I really feel like I remember first learning about it from an IGN article. And then, of course, Metroid Prime 3 came out, and there's the famous scan log in the Space Pirate homeworld that says Project Dread is almost complete, which was so exciting, even though they were clearly lying because it wasn't almost complete. It was freaking 14 years from being complete, but that's okay. No. 2005 Game Informer, I had no idea was referenced. I'll have to look into that. That's news to me. So thanks for letting me know. Who would win, Metroid or a Xenomorph? Probably the Xenomorph, if I'm being honest. Okay, let me scroll down here. Oh, another super chat. Whoa. Forrest, thank you. 50 Canadian bucks, I think that is. Wow, thank you. Hope your recovery is going well. It is, thanks for the most part. Made it out to the coast with my fiance and my other 2 friends, Chris, who was in the chat a minute ago. I don't know if he's still here. He might be streaming himself. But yeah, we went out to the coast, had a good time. Definitely something I could not have done after my first surgery. I needed like 2 weeks. Oh, Chris is still here. So yes, I'm healing well. Thank you for asking. In the midst of renovations. Oh, you're in the midst of renovations, so you haven't been able to catch a lot of streams, but looking forward to watching later. Oh, bummed your Between the Buried and Me show got canceled, but so high for Dread. Why did it get canceled? Are you sure it just didn't get rescheduled because of COVID? Because ours got rescheduled. We had tickets last year, and now ours got moved to August or September. Let's show the world that Metroid sells. Bro, it's going to sell. Metroid Dread is going to sell. I asked you guys earlier when I talked about it if anyone had any guesses on sales. I don't think anyone put that in the chat. We have over 200 people here, by the way, so thank you guys for showing up. Luis Henrique gave me $1.90. I don't know what the R is, but thank you so much for super chat. No question or anything, but thank you. Oh, Canada Between the Buried and Me got canceled, Chris. Oh, I didn't know that. Why? Did they say why? Just not a good place to go this time, right now, I guess. That sucks. Jim's Face. What do you think? By the way, $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Jim. Or Jim's Face. I love The Office. That's really awesome. What do you think of Samus's suit? Seems to look like a blend of fusion suit and Various suit. I like it and hope there are more to get in the game. Well, now I see people giving sales predictions. I'll get to that in a moment. I love the suit. I am so okay visually right now. We don't know what it does. We just know what it looks like. Visually, Come on, man. That suit is the bomb. It is probably my favorite suit. I mean, I'm fanboying out right now. So yeah, it's my favorite Metroid suit. I love the look. And I talked about this. I tweeted about it. We talked about it on the podcast yesterday. That it does seem to have like a fleshy, organic sort of look to it with like that stringy, muscly stuff. And that might not be organic, but it looks like it could be. A lot of people have said it reminds them of the fusion suit. You say that too. Joey said it on the podcast yesterday. I don't know that I see the fusion suit connection as much as other people like you. That doesn't mean I'm right. I mean, maybe the game confirms that, yes, there is a fusion suit connection. I mean, that could happen. But when I just look at it visually with my eyes, I don't see that many correlations to the fusion suit. But if there is a correlation, that means that this suit has to have something to do with Metroid DNA. So there's a huge story implication if it's a fusion suit kind of thing, which is very exciting. We'll have to just kind of see. And then you talk about if there are more to get in the game. Yeah, obviously, she has her suit, but then it upgrades to various suits and gravity suit and like the PED suit, the Phazon suit, things like that. So I'm hoping that there's a couple of upgraded forms of this suit. Dark suit and light suit are like totally different suits in Prime 2. So it'll be exciting. But thanks again for the super chat. 5 million, around 3 million, 4 million, 4 million, 4.5, 4 to 5 million. Cobain says 2.75 to 3.5. Very specific, but very possible. I like those numbers. Major Blazer says 4.2. Did you say 420 million? 4.2 million. Cobain says, look at all Metroid games. None have ever sold over 3 million. That's true. So yeah, we're all kind of, the general average seems to be 3 to 5 million, which is exactly what I feel. I said that at the beginning of the stream. 3 to 5 million probably makes the most sense. And again, don't balk at those numbers, guys. That's a huge hit. That's a huge hit for any game, let alone for Metroid. That'll be a huge win for Metroid. It'll guarantee Nintendo knows this series is a success. People want these games. They're going to buy them. Let's keep making them. That's going to happen if we get that. I think if it even sells 2 million, that'll be that way. But I think it's going to hit over 3 million. So, okay. Whoa, I'm getting, holy smokes, super chats, fast and furious. Wow. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Metroid Hunter 999 says, I'm hoping Metroid Prime 4 either leads directly into the events of Metroid 2, which is possible, or sets up a trilogy that leads into Metroid. Okay, Metroid 2 would be awesome to tie it all together. Your thoughts? So, yeah, of course. Like, the essence of that question and that idea really just has to do with Metroid Prime 4 almost for sure taking place before Metroid 2. Which, as many of you may or may not know, the Prime Trilogy games, they do take place between Metroid 1 and Metroid 2. I think a lot of people don't know that. In fact, I know that because I just randomly, for fun, tweeted out like the timeline for Metroid just to share it because I thought it would be fun to do and like where games fit. And it got really highly retweeted and discussed and liked, or at least for my tweets. So I was like, and people were talking about it and people were saying, thank you. I didn't know what it looked like. And so yeah, so Metroid Prime 4 will almost for sure take place before Metroid 2. And if so, either Metroid Prime 4 could specifically lead into Metroid 2, or you're asking maybe it sets up even more games. And so instead of 4 Metroid Prime games between 1 and 2, maybe there becomes 6. Maybe we get Metroid Primes 1 through 6, and then Metroid 2 would happen. That's all very possible, but I also am not completely turning down the idea of Metroid Prime 4 taking place way, way down the road. We can't forget, like, there's nothing set in stone that says Metroid Prime 4 has to take place before Metroid 2. It could be, the timeline could go Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, Metroid 2, and then all the other games, and then way down the road, Prime 4 picks up later. Like, maybe the story picks up after Metroid Dread. They're all on the table. So it'll be, basically, it's going to be really fun to see. We obviously have to get through the push for Metroid Dread, and then Nintendo next year will probably be comfortable starting to tell us about Metroid Prime 4. I know I'm skipping a lot of questions, but I keep getting super chats, so I obviously have to focus on those guys. So Mr. Pete, 1985. Thank you for $5. Says, hope you're healing up well. I definitely am. Thank you. Remember, everyone needs to buy at least 2 copies of Dread so we can force RGT to play Balan Wonderworld. I know he made like a bet or something about the sales to play Balan, which is really funny. Yeah, everyone definitely buy the... I'm not going to tell people to buy 2 games because I don't want to be that guy. I'm buying 2 games. I might even buy 3, but I'm definitely buying at least 2. I just hope everyone buys a copy of the game to play it and to support it with their money and to send the message to Nintendo that we like our Metroid and we want more of our Metroid. This seriously is, we are at a pinnacle moment, you guys, when it comes to Metroid, if you think about it, because this is the time where everyone is rallying around this. And because it's been so long and the conversation around Prime 4 has been going and people frustrated with the lack of Metroid from Nintendo, now they're giving it to us in an era of Nintendo where they are more popular and successful than they've ever been, almost, with a console that sells software like it cures cancer. I mean, things just sell like crazy. This is the time to do Metroid. And with everyone rallying around it, we all know this game is going to be a huge hit, and it's going to set Metroid Prime 4 up for an even bigger success. This is a turning point. We are living the turning point moment right now, you guys, for all of us who are Metroid fans, because we're about to change the fortunes of the franchise in the best way possible. This is it. We can push gently and with our dollar, gently but confidently with our dollar, we can push Metroid right to the top of Nintendo's franchises. And Nintendo can look at it as just as important as your Marios, your Zeldas, your Pokemons, your Smash Brothers. You throw Metroid right up there with it. We can do it. This is the time, guys. We are living it. And I have been waiting for this. It's almost like I started my YouTube channel almost 8 years ago just for this freaking moment, you know? Anyway, boy, is it exciting. Chris said COVID and travel restrictions. Okay, for Canada, unless you're on the Montreal, Canadian, Vegas, Golden Turds. Yeah, they can clearly travel anywhere. Freaking Golden Knights. You're making me mad. Just reminding me about it. The Hawk Manly guy says, do you think there will be Metroid-themed Joy-Cons for the release of Dread? Yes, I do. I'm so glad you asked. Oh, man, and that reminds me, it's going to be a battle just to buy them. I can't find the Skyward Sword ones. Nintendo is definitely going to do bare minimum some Joy. Maybe they do a Nintendo Switch. Oh, God, I hope they do a Switch. But if they do the Joy-Cons, man, none of us are going to be able to find those. I'm mad now. That's pissing me off, and it hasn't even happened yet. But tell me I'm wrong. If no one's going to be able to find those things, God damn it. I'm upset now. Anyway, I'm going to just, I don't know, hopefully find them. Jose said, will Emmy colors determine different skills? Great question. On yesterday's podcast, that's another thing that came up. I think there's a good chance that each Emmy will have a different skill or a different power. I would love to see it if the further you go in the game, maybe they start to even look different. That would be really cool. But I think almost for sure they're going to have different ability. Like one is going to have a flamethrower, the other is going to have an ice beam, kind of fairly standard stuff, but it would be so fun and a great change up to the Metroid formula if they do that. So I definitely think, and you gave me 49 MX. What is MX? I don't know what that is. I'm going to look it up. Oh, it's a peso, Mexican peso. 49 Mexican pesos. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think we're going to see different. Well, we've seen different colors. I think there's a great chance they're going to have different abilities. So, yes. Okay, I'm trying to get to the super chats so I can check some other regular questions. I know I'm missing a lot of people's stuff. Where was the okay, so there's that. Operation Rain gave $1.99. Thank you for that. Said, do I think a version of Ridley will be in Dread? Great question. And probably, yeah. And I'm okay with it. To me, Ridley is the Ganondorf of Metroid. I felt that for a very long time. You can keep bringing Ridley back. I don't care how silly it seems. I don't care how many times Ridley's been killed in the past. I don't care. I mean, Ridley in a Metroid game, Ridley versus Samus, that's what we live for, yo. That is like one of the core tenets of Metroid. So yeah, it can maybe break some continuity. And so if they don't do it, I'll be okay with it for that reason. But if they bring Ridley back, great. Great. Let's freaking go. Bring back Ridley. So yeah, I would say there's about a 50-50 chance that maybe Ridley does show up. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, Holocron, the super chats keep going. I was not expecting this. So again, I'm not trying to ignore other people's stuff. But I very much have to, I want to respond to the super chat. So that's why they exist. Koopa Slayer, $5. Thank you for that super chat. Should I play Prime Trilogy on Wii U or wait it out for an eventual Switch port? Ugh, that's the eternal question. Everyone wants to know that. You've played all 2D Metroid, but none of the Prime games. Oh, that changes my answer. I was going to tell you to wait because I just kind of had assumed you'd played it. Honestly, I mean, I really think they're going to do the trilogy. I do. But I hate to tell anyone to put off playing those games. I wish Nintendo would just have announced that already, man. I don't know what to tell you, Koopa. Because obviously, HD versions using hopefully Switch Joy-Con controls will be probably the best way to play those games. And so I want to say, if you've never played it, let it be that version. But they're so good, and you just need to play them because you've never played. You've played 2D, but not Prime. Oh man, I think I'm going to tell you to just play it. I don't feel right telling you to wait because it could also just be so long. If you're feeling the Metroid goodness, here's a better choice. Here's what you should do. Right now, Metroid Dread is only a couple of months away. So wait for Metroid Dread, play through that, maybe replay some of the 2D games. If you haven't played Other M, I mean, I know some people hate it and maybe you'll hate it too, but if you haven't played it, maybe give that one a shot because that way more is connected to Dread than the Prime games. You kind of should play Other M to fully appreciate Metroid Dread, unless you already know you hate the game, in which case don't play it. That's fine. So wait until after you finish Dread. Give Nintendo time to maybe tell us if the trilogy is coming. Then play the games if it hasn't happened after that. That's my suggestion. And then Isaac, always with a really huge super chat. Holy crap, $40. Thank you so much for that super chat. Wow. Says, feel like celebrating, so here's some monies. Thank you. You don't have to always donate so much to get your question read. I mean, I love it, obviously, but full disclosure, you don't have to donate because you donate $50 a lot, but you do you. I'm just saying. Anyway, thank you. You say you were so shocked and stoked when you saw the trailer, hoping that Sakamoto didn't mean the end of Metroid, maybe just more of the creature, maybe just no more of the creatures. Well, so we already kind of touched on that. I don't know if you were in the live stream at that point yet. The good thing is, if you haven't caught it, go back and rewatch the development history documentary. It's like 6.5 minutes. Sakamoto says, yes, Metroid Dread wraps up this current story, but he also says, and they have otherwise confirmed in interviews, maybe it was the Polygon interview, maybe that's where it was, where they said we're already preparing the next game. They've already said that. So the good thing is Metroid as a franchise does not end with Metroid Dread or with Prime 4. They've already confirmed they're working on the next stuff, which was the greatest news. So your fear about Metroid ending after Dread is not warranted. It's going to continue. You talk about maybe no more creatures. My kind of running theory is that what's probably going to end is just the X-Parasite. That's my running theory. Metroid Dread will definitively end and defeat the X-Parasite. Samus will be victorious there. She saves the galaxy, wipes out the X-Parasite, and then moves on to something else. And so another series of Metroid games will start after that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So hopefully that makes sense, Isaac. Yeah, Joey. Yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, seriously, dude. I'm getting super chats out the wazoo. I could not appreciate all of you guys more than that. That's crazy. Hey, what's up, Kazoo? Haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you here. Okay, so that's Isaac's. The last sent $4.99. Thank you. Says, I know this won't happen, but it'll be cool if we have the ability to customize the colors of the suit like in Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. You know, that's an interesting thought that I've never thought of. And I don't know if other people may have thought of this. I've never really considered a Metroid game where you can kind of customize to a degree. And I could see a camp of Metroid fans being super against that. I can already, like, in my mind's eye picture the argument of like, that's not Metroid, that's not how it works. The suit determines what it looks like. Samus gets the suit, she upgrades the suit, and that's what it's supposed to look like. And I get that. And in many ways, I even agree with that. But I don't think it's impossible for there to be a Metroid game where Samus's ability to like stop at different stations or computers and change the colors of her suit. I could see that. Basically, I could see that being in a game. It makes sense. I could see them doing that. And I also think that if it's done properly within that game, I don't think it compromises the typical integrity of the relationship between Samus and her suits. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I guess I don't really see it as being an issue. If Nintendo ever does it, maybe they do it in a way that does feel dumb, but I don't know that they would, as long as it contextually makes sense within that game. And then it would be very cool to customize your suits, man. I mean, they could even take it a step further eventually and make it so you can customize the look or the abilities. Different shoulder pads, shoulder armor with different weapons or abilities, different arm cannon, different visor, and different helmet. They could do all sorts of things with that. Like it could be other games have done that, but Metroid never has. So if they introduce that to Metroid, it would be new for Metroid. And I think Nintendo, they're great developers. They're going to make sure it's implemented in a really cool, fun way. So that's a really good idea. That's an interesting idea. I never had thought of that. Okay, did I run out of super chats? Finally, I did. Okay. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, no, there's 3 more. There's 4 more. Okay, wait. Let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. Okay. Okay, Silver Lunar. 25 SAR. And I do like to look up my currencies. I don't know what SAR is. What is SAR? Oops. Saudi Real? Real. I think it's pronounced Real. Thank you so much for 25 Real. I appreciate you. On Reddit, you saw a post about a movie called Red Planet. Yeah, that was about, was that the one with Val Kilmer on Mars? I think that's that. Especially a robot in that movie called Amy. The design is shockingly an homage, a video idea. Oh, the correlation between Emmy and Amy. That's probably a coincidence. I've seen that movie, and I'm barely remembering that there was like a robot in that movie. That was like early 2000s, I want to say, or maybe late 90s. When did that movie come out? I don't know if it's an homage, because I don't know if Nintendo would be like, oh, here's a random movie about Mars and they had a robot we like, so let's do that. Although to be fair, the Metroid Dread idea goes back 15 years, right? So the movie would have been way newer at the time. But I just feel like when you look at what Nintendo was doing with Metroid leading up to Dread, even to the concept of Dread in 2006, like Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion already introduced the idea of Samus having to hide from something hunting her. And to me, Dread felt like the natural evolution of that concept. So I feel like they were more inspired by their own games and their own ideas than they were from that movie. But it's an interesting thing. It makes me kind of want to go back and rewatch that movie. I remembered liking it. So yeah. Commander Pluto Shine sent 1008 Canadian. Thank you for that. Said, yo, Rob, it's Keo. Oh, I've seen you in the chat comments, I think. How do I feel about Samus having the ability of Parthenogenesis, since she has Chozo and Metroid DNA, or a post-Dread story diving into Samus's lost brother from the brother thing? Well, here's the thing. Parthenogenesis, I don't know what that is. Is that a Metroid specific thing? That sounds like something to do with like pathogen or something. I'm going to look it up. If that's something from like Metroid lore, then I'm just super like Not familiar. I'm not that deep. Okay, it's not. So parthenogenesis is a natural form of asexual reproduction in which growth and development of embryos occur within the fertilization by sperm. So it's just asexualization. It's just an asexual thing that basically fertilizes and reproduces itself. Um, so how do I feel about Samus having that ability since she's a Chozo or has like Chozo DNA within her? I don't know if I need that. That might be a little bit too deep down the weird rabbit hole for me. I mean, if they went that route, I'd be open to it. Oh shoot, give me a sec. My fiance's calling me, guys. I hate to do this. 1 second. Where is my mute? Where is my mute? There. Okay, I missed the call. I'm gonna text her real quick, just in case she's running an errand and it's like maybe she needs me for something. I hate to normally do this stuff on stream, but life comes into play. On stream. I'm gonna ask her if she needs a call back. She had to move something to her work, and so I don't know if she needed me for something. So I apologize, guys. I really apologize. It's, you got to be just in case something comes up. So I told her she doesn't also know that I'm doing the live stream. So, but I want to get back to that question. Okay. Oh yeah. So the whole asexual thing. Yeah. So I don't know if I need Samus to go down that kind of thing. And then you said, or Metroid DNA, or a post-Dread story diving into Samus's. Okay, so the brother thing, that's interesting to me because the whole concept of like Psylux being Samus's brother has been thrown around for a long time. To my knowledge, that was never actually confirmed. I think that was more of like a fan theory that really just kind of took off. I don't really think that there's truth to that. Now, it could become true, and that would be interesting, but that's probably going to be more of a Prime 4 thing than a Metroid Dread thing. However, between either Dread or Prime 4, they could set up the whole Samus has a brother thing and bring that into the fold. And so to answer the question, yeah, I think that is on the table. It's not something I'm necessarily looking for in a Metroid story or asking for. However, if they went down that route, I'm open-minded. I'm going to be curious to see what they would do with it. And it would be something that could give us some kind of a glimpse into just more of who Samus is and where she came from, what her history is, going back to the death of her parents and all that stuff. And obviously, if she had a brother, that brother experienced the same events, but in a different way. And so what's the history there? They would, if they did that, here's the thing, you guys. If they were going to tell a story like that, they'd have to kind of go back. They'd have to tell a narrative closer in style to how they did Other M is kind of what I'm getting at, and again, I like Other M. It's flawed, but I do like it. So that doesn't bother me, but I know when a lot of other people hear about that, it's like nails on a chalkboard. People don't like Other. Okay, she's calling me back. 1 second, guys. Apologies, very fast. Okay. Apologies. That was just I'm heading to the store on the way back, and do you want me to grab anything? So I asked her to get some food items. And she said hi to the stream. She was worried that I was like talking unmuted, and she was like, "Oh my god, can they hear you talking to me?" But I had muted it. So I believe the last thing I was saying was about Other. Okay, if they went down the brother thing, they're going to tell a story like Other M, which I think a lot of people would not like. So I guess that kind of wraps up my answer to the question. It's good theories. It's good stuff. I don't know about the asexual Samus thing. That's not my kind of thing. But the brother thing, maybe that happens. Okay. Oh man, Copy Thief sent a link to the Game Informer page. You recall reading this and being hyped back in 2005. It's been 16 years. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'll look into that and kind of see what's going on there. It's crazy to think that Game Informer in 2005 had some sort of interview about Metroid Dread. It was probably in like its first inkling of an idea at the time. SS4 Guy Jr., Super Saiyan 4 Guy Jr. gave me $10 in a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Said, stated by the creator himself that Metroid Prime and Trilogy, well, okay, there's a lot to talk about here, is not canon, and his 2D Metroid series. Wait. Stated by the creator himself, the Metroid Prime and Trilogy is not canon in his 2D Metroid series, and you're glad that it ain't because the way this story is written, you can tell it's not canon. Well, so there's a lot going on with there. I will say you're not wrong in the sense that Sakamoto and other folks at Nintendo have kind of talked about before that they don't see the Metroid Prime story as necessarily completely canon and in line with the first numbered Metroid games. This was a long time ago, and they did say something like that. Since then, though, there have been other conversations in quotes where they haven't walked it back. They've basically just said all of the Metroid games are in the same world and in the same timeline. That's the very reason you can if you were to research the Metroid timeline, for example, you're going to see the Metroid Prime games and even the spin-off games, Hunters and Federation Force, you're going to see those in the timeline. It's since this quote, it has since been established that they are really considered in the same timeline, and that the events of the Prime games happen between Metroid 1 and Metroid 2. You only make that timeline if they're in the same timeline. So I totally get what you're saying, because again, there were quotes, yes, many, many years ago that said something like that, but that's really since kind of been changed. That's not really the case anymore. They're all part of the same story. And the stories don't conflict with each other. So while they are different, like Samus's journey in the Prime games is very different than her journey with in the numbered games. It's with like the SAX and the X Parasite and all that stuff. They are very different stories, but they don't conflict with one another. They all happen together within the same kind of thing. So it's a good point, and it's good for us to remind ourselves that the canon of the series has kind of gone through this little bit of a ebb and flow over the past probably 15 years, or when that quote was like 10 or 12 years ago. It was a long time ago. But nowadays, everything is considered in the same timeline. I absolutely think that you're going to see, I mean, the Chozo is a great connective tissue between the two. Not to mention, I mean, Samus Returns even uses music that's featured in the Metroid Prime games. Like, they're all the same. They're all kind of the same. So, Chris said, do I think Carl Urban will show up in Metroid? I hope so. I would be okay with that Dread crossover. Yeah, I know, because there's so many super chats. Okay. I thought I caught up. Let's see. There's one. Okay, there's some other. Okay, there's Isaac again. Okay. Isaac gave me another $2. Said the Prime games, the Primes were deemed canon as of Samus. There you go. Basically saying some of the same stuff I was just saying. I think it actually happened even before Samus Returns, but like I mentioned, Samus Returns incorporated elements from the Prime games, visually and sonically, so, and story-wise with the Chozo stuff. So yeah, they're the same timeline. I think. Oh lordy. Okay. Christopher P with 19.99. Dude, $20. Thank you so much. My mission is to help Rob find Skyward Sword and Dread Joy-Cons. Well, thank you, Christopher. Don't get it twisted, though. If you want those things and you find them, get them for yourself first before you even worry about trying to help me. I'm just a guy on the internet. I appreciate it. I would love help finding those things, but I wouldn't want someone to not get their own Joy-Cons first. And then if you want to try to send me a link or whatever, that's totally fine. Again, I've said this before, but Super Metal Dave is actually the one who helped me get my PS5. He sent me the Amazon link when it went live, and it was the very reason that I was able to get a PS5. So it is good to help people out when it comes to that stuff. So thank you for the sentiment, Christopher. I appreciate that. Break the Cycle sent $5. Thank you for the super chat. Says, would be dope if you can play a Zero Suit Samus after beating the game. Like the original Metroid, it would add more to the dread feeling. It would be very cool. I've thought in the past about, oh man, I might have to be wrapping this up soon, guys. I've thought in the past about is there a way for Nintendo to make an entire Metroid game where you only play as Zero Suit Samus? It would obviously have to be kind of more of a spin-off than a main game, because the core tenets of the gameplay are so revolving around Samus having the suit. So I've been like, could they do it? Maybe they could do it. Obviously, what they did with Zero Mission by adding a Zero Suit section, and Other M, by the way, which did the same thing. They added sections with Zero Suit. Maybe they could do that in Metroid Dread. I think there's a possibility, and that could be very cool. But like I said, I've been thinking for a while, like, is there a way to do a Zero Suit game? And honestly, there probably isn't. I don't really think that would be very fun. I don't know if there's a way to do that that would be good. But it was just an idea. I just thought about it, you know. So Chris says, got to do chores. See you tomorrow. All right, man. See you tomorrow, broski. Looking forward to it. Isaac with another $2. Samus had a brother in the comics who went missing. Yeah, I know. But so here's the thing. We're talking about what's canon and what's not canon. The actual canonness of the manga and comics, even I'll admit, I'm not 100% sure how canon those are. Myself as a Metroid fan, but I don't know if it's ever been solidified how canon those are. I mean, I tend to follow them as truth. Don't get me wrong. The only reason I bring that up is because that could let us know the chances of Nintendo incorporating that story. Would they bring in the brother? Would they not? I mean, like I guess I already kind of said, you know, I'm open to it. It's not something I necessarily need, but I'm open to it if Nintendo went that route. Oh man. Super Saiyan 4 guy sent $5, but then retracted the message. So you sent a super chat, but I don't know what you said. If you want to ask it again without super chatting, I'd love to answer it. I'll let you make the call there. Okay, I actually got to the end of the super chats, guys. I'm going to spend another 10 or so minutes. It's, you know, I got to wrap up. I have to move around a lot because of this stupid thing. I can't do this for too much longer, but I want to answer some other questions that are not super chats. Yellow Kazoo said, did Taker 610 have a question that I missed somewhere? Was it a super chat? I hope if I missed a super chat, I apologize. I don't think I did I? It was a lot. Okay. Let's see what you guys are saying. Not super chat. Brandon P said it would be interesting to hear what makes Metroid your favorite franchise. Honestly, I'll tell you what it is. I've kind of talked about it before, actually. Oh, he was just reiterating that the Prime games are not canon. Okay, well, I mean that conversation can exist. That's fine. It's not really true. Like they're basically part of the same timeline. So but whatever. It doesn't really matter. That's fine. Okay, what was it? Oh, what makes Metroid my favorite franchise? Honestly, it came down to when I realized that Metroid Prime was my favorite game. I grew up as a kid. I played the original Metroid on the NES, and it was super cool, super creepy. Really liked it. Very difficult. I would have been very young, like 7, 8, 9 years old, but I loved it. And then I barely played Metroid 2 on my friend's Game Boy. And then Super Metroid, I didn't play until I was a teenager, unfortunately. But then I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then when Metroid Prime came out, I remember I was working for GameStop. I was 22 and I was excited. I was like, oh, cool. Like Metroid. Yeah, that's a great franchise. I remember that. I remember the Metroid games when I was a kid. I'm excited for a new one on the GameCube. The graphics look amazing. I was so excited because the graphics were so good. And then I played the game and I loved it. It blew me away. I was so like just entranced by my whole experience. And what happened is after I beat Metroid Prime, it probably took about over the course of the next year or two, whenever I would think about Metroid Prime, I would be so overwhelmed with how much I loved it. I would remember the game, the atmosphere, the music, the gameplay, the graphics, and I just would think about it, and it would just fill me with so much joy. And I would just remember how much I loved it. And it's the game that made me appreciate atmosphere in a video game. And when I would remind myself how much I loved being in the atmosphere of Metroid Prime, eventually I kind of realized and decided, I was like, I think Metroid Prime is probably my favorite game ever made. At the time, it was the Ocarina of Time. That was my favorite game ever at the time. But then I was like, no, I think it's Metroid Prime. And so Metroid Prime, I decided was my favorite game. I had replayed it. I was like, this is so cool. Samus is amazing. And then when Prime 2 came out, I was like, now I'm experiencing new Metroid games after deciding Metroid Prime is my favorite game. And so it basically just became a snowball effect of diving deeper and deeper into the Metroid franchise after my revelation that Prime was my favorite game. And so the story, the gameplay, the graphics, Samus, it's just all that stuff has made it my favorite. Metroidvania is my favorite genre, like platforming. It's just the best. So, yeah. Oh, so Taker, I did miss your super chat. Okay. Where is it? Did you ask it again? Man, oh man. Okay, here you go. So, okay, sorry I missed your super chat, Taker. You said basically was about not getting the Switch Pro this year due to no big first-party games releasing this year. Okay. So, and yes, James, I am a Zelda fan. Zelda is my second favorite franchise. It's Metroid, and then it's Zelda. Okay, so Taker, you're asking about the Switch Pro and new games. Interesting thought, because I think a lot of us think that if there's a Switch Pro, that Nintendo is going to have a big, high-profile, graphically demanding game to launch alongside of it to justify the Pro existing and to help sell it to people, And I think there's something to that. I think that's not crazy. But as you pointed out, really the biggest games for Nintendo's holiday are the Pokemon games and Metroid Dread. And neither of those games are obviously demanding a Switch Pro in order to release them. So are we seeing a sign that the Switch Pro is not going to release this year? I would say it's too early to say that, because I think that there's a chance for two reasons. One, the Switch Pro might release without a big game. That's not crazy. Two, the Switch Pro just might be releasing next year. Three, there's technically still time for Nintendo to announce another big holiday game we don't know about that could be the game that needs a Switch Pro. For me, the most likely option at that point, now that Breath of the Wild 2 is next year, would be a new Mario game. I think a new Mario game is close to being revealed. I think, excuse me, I think there's a chance it could come out this year. And if so, I think there's a chance it could be the game that releases alongside of a Switch Pro. That could all be wrong. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. But it's kind of my running theory on what could be happening there. So let me know if that makes sense to you. I'm curious. Curious. Mario Odyssey 2. Yeah, like maybe an Odyssey 2. So yeah, okay, yeah. Hopefully that answered your question, Taker. I'm really sorry I missed it. It was hard to scroll through and see them all, so I totally screwed up. I'm a G2 says, "Oh please. I mean, I don't care about a Switch Pro, but give me a billion new Mario games." Oh, new Mario's coming, man. I mean, even if we look at Bowser's Fury, I think that was a sign of where they're going. See Taker's message right above my last. Yeah, but I just answered that, right? So the odds of the Pro coming this year, knowing what we know about the software after E3, I just don't see it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I just addressed that, though. Did I address that for you, man? someone donates, you want to respect, like they throw you cash, like money. You want to respond to their question. So hopefully I answered it in the way that made sense. So SU says, do you think Metroid Prime 4 will be the end of the Prime series and its story will lead to the events of Samus Returns? I do, SU. Actually, I really do. Cash money. I do. I said this on a podcast. What podcast? I don't know. Someone's podcast a while ago. That because some people theorize that Metroid Prime 4 is starting a new Metroid trilogy, and that's possible. Absolutely, it's possible. But my theory is more. My theory is more that I think Prime 4 might be the last Prime game. And I know that sounds probably sad, and everyone's going to gasp when they hear that, but I do kind of think that might happen, and I would actually be okay with that, surprisingly. I think they might finally wrap up the story of Phazon and Dark Samus and Metroid Prime, and just boom, it's done with Metroid Prime 4. Lead into Samus Returns, Metroid 2, like you said, and then we move forward, just like they're doing with Metroid Dread. So maybe Metroid Dread is wrapping up the numbered story, Prime 4 is wrapping up the Prime side story, and then the future Metroid games go in a whole new direction. Okay, 2 more super chats came in. I'm probably going to wrap it up after this. So I'm going to ask, as much as I love getting super chats, I'm going to ask, try not to throw any more money my way, because I'm going to have to wrap up and get off, partly because of this. My arm is making me annoyed. So Copy Thief sent another 750, said, you saw someone make the case that maybe the Emmy were developed with Ridley's consciousness, like a copy of it. Ridley hatred just overrides any AI. Wow. Interesting theory. Oh, another super chat. Interesting theory. I don't know that that's where my head is going currently, but I could actually kind of see them doing something like that. I would more rather Ridley just show up as Ridley. I don't care if they keep changing him. That's fine. But maybe they do something where the robots have the consciousness of Samus's prior enemy. Enemy number 1. Maybe. I think that could be kind of cool. Especially if the Atom computers that Samus is going to talk to throughout the game, very much like Metroid Fusion, maybe we kind of get a lot of the story beats and the understanding of that through those conversations with the Atom computer. I like that. That's pretty cool. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look more into that. Paul Gwenst sends me $5. Thank you, Paul. Said, what's my top 5 Switch Pro? What's my top Switch Pro exclusive top 5 for when it does come out? Okay. So you mean, what are the top 5 games I would want to be exclusive to a Switch Pro? Theoretically, I think that's the question. Well, I would say, here's the thing. I would like Metroid Prime 4 to be Switch Pro exclusive if this is all true, because it just means the game will be that much better. So I guess I would say that. I want to say Breath of the Wild 2, but I feel like looking at the gameplay, we know that's not going to be the case. But I'll just say it anyway. Breath of the Wild. No, I don't want to say that. It's a Nintendo game. That needs to be backwards compatible. I think about third-party games. So I think about maybe even Bayonetta 3 or a Resident Evil game. I don't really like Grand Theft Auto, but if Grand Theft Auto came, maybe that would be Switch Pro exclusive. I don't know. I guess I think of third-party games. What's another third-party game coming out, like a multi-platform? I don't know, The Witcher 4, stuff like that. That's kind of what I think of. It's tough to say. I don't really want to pick Nintendo games other than Metroid Prime 4, like I said. But Resident Evil games come to mind. Okay, this should be the last super chat. Super Saiyan 4 guy again since $10. Thank you again so much. Says you still consider Metroid Prime is not canon to the 2D Metroids, and that's okay. If you don't want to, that's fine. It still hasn't been 100% confirmed that it was canon. However, I treat them like 2 separate special trilogies on their own. That's fine. As I was saying too, the thing about it is whether you as an individual consider all of the games in the same timeline, or if you consider the numbered games and the Prime games as separate games, there's no conflicting concepts or story beats, really. There's maybe 1 or 2 little plot holes, but nothing major. in general, they don't conflict with each other. The stories are very different. You know, Metroid has listen to me, Samus has a completely different threat and journey in Prime than she does in the numbered games. That is a fact. They are two separate journeys. So you can choose to keep them the same or you can choose to keep them apart. And I don't think it matters. I believe that as close to officially as we have, they're all part of the same story, but it's totally within your right to keep them separate or ignore them if you want. There are people that don't even consider other M canon just because they hate the game. And like, that's fine. I mean, the game is canon. The story matters, and very much so. But like, people, we can all do what we want, basically. So, hey, man, if you don't want to consider them the same timeline, that is completely okay. Doesn't bother me. It's not going to keep me up at night. You know, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So you do what makes you feel the most comfortable. Now, what might happen, though, is Metroid Dread or Prime 4 or another game in the future may do something that so unquestionably ties them all together that you might not be able to do that at some point. That could happen. So you have to prepare yourself for that. But until that happens, yeah, you can keep them separate. That's fine. You know, no harm, no foul as far as I'm concerned. Man, Santos Duran gave me another super chat. $4.99. Thank you. Says, I'm still convinced that when the sling comes off, Rob will have an arm cannon like Samus. Speedy recovery, brother. Well, thank you, dude. I really appreciate you. And how do you guys know I'm not hiding an arm cannon back here? Pew pew, mofos. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Okay. I think, yes, you're welcome, SS4. You're welcome, dude. I think I'm good. I think I'm going to call this. This is a lot. I really want to keep talking Metroid, but I'm losing my voice. This thing starts to annoy me when I stay in one place for too long. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. This was great. All Metroid, baby. All theories, all discussion, all hype for a new Metroid game. The series is back. It is not dead. Nintendo cares about it again. How good does this feel, you guys? And like I said, to me, this is a turning point. We're living the turning point moment for the franchise. This is the Renaissance, man. Metroid is back, and it is here to stay with Metroid Dread. I firmly believe that. And we're all going to make sure of that by buying the game and supporting it. That's going to make the difference here. Whoops. That's going to make the difference. So thank you to everyone who showed up. Thank you so much for hanging out, chatting Metroid with me. I got a ton of super chats. Holy crap. Thank you guys for all the super chats. That's really cool. And let's all share our love for Metroid. Let's be positive about it. And I'll do another stream soon. Plenty of Metroid videos coming this week, so keep an eye out for that. And with that, I'm going to sign off. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.